Hey everybody, welcome to our Google Hangout. My name is Greg McDaniel. I am an active real estate agent. I am also a trainer for our brokerage. I'm the head trainer here at J. Rockcliffe Realtors in Northern California. I'm also a real estate coach, and I want to thank you guys for joining us. We're going to be talking to our special guest, Jane Wendon. She is a younger, really intelligent, vibrant young lady, but she wasn't that way when I originally met her. I met Jane about a year and a half ago. She's in our brokerage. She comes from a family of travelers, so she's well versed in the world's ways, but she was scared of her own shadow. And I, after working with her and coaching with her, and we're going to hear it from her words, in exactly how we've been able to fine-tune and produce a perfectly molded prospecting model that suits her personality, her time schedule, and her budget. Jane now is an active door knocker and is incredibly tenacious in following up with leads. And back when I first met her, she couldn't get in front of a camera, she couldn't follow up with a client, and she would not go door knocking. And you will hear some funny stories today on exactly what her first experiences were. So the other gentleman that you see here smiling back behind the camera there is Matt Johnson. He is our viral coach, our host of our Google Hangout today. He's going to be taking your questions and helping this thing run as smooth as it can be. And knowing that working with Vyral for the last several months, they do an excellent job. So this experience is going to be a pleasure. So again, thanks for being here. We look forward to educating you and entertaining you.
Cool.
Matt?
Jane, welcome. Good to have you on the very first Hangout with Greg McDaniel today. How are you?
I am good. How are you doing?
Very well. And I just wanted to mention, so Greg kind of brought up that you can submit questions, guys, if you're watching. You can do that right through the Q&A app on this Hangout, and I'll bring them to Greg and Jane as we go through. So Jane has about 25 minutes, so we want to get right into it. So Jane, kind of set the stage for us a little bit and tell us what you were like in the business and kind of where your business was at, where your head was at, and what circumstances you were in before you really got in touch with Greg and started that coaching process that he mentioned.
So when I started, like you said, I was kind of scared of my own shadow. I didn't want to talk to people, kind of was hoping that the whole business would just, fall in my lap, like it was just magically going to happen. I was magically going to have clients, money was just going to start rolling in, and I just wouldn't have to talk to anybody. But, and of course that did not work very well. I did not want to door knock, I didn't want to cold call, I just didn't like it. I was wanting to just hide and be the secret agent that just magically made tons and tons of money. So my business obviously was not doing well. I had one transaction that goes through just because of a friend referral, and that was pretty much where my business was at. I wasn't doing any marketing. I was relying mostly on social media, but I wasn't doing it correctly. So I was definitely at a place where I needed some help. Otherwise, I was going to be out of this business within the next few months.
Yeah. So when you first started to work on some of those things, what did Greg kind of take you through first, and what are the first things that you guys attacked together to resolve that?
Well, the first thing that we had to do was get my fear of speaking to people. Like, we had to go head on. He made me go out on the doors. He went and took me with, we went for about maybe an hour. The first half hour I was stuck in the car, could not get out of my seat, didn't want to get out of my seat, and Greg pretty much pulled me out of the car. We went around and did maybe about 15 doors, and I let him do all the talking, just watch, just wanted to see how it was going, and still didn't want to do it. I was like, people just don't want people coming to their door, just not for me. And over time, we kept doing it over and over, a little bit each time, and more and more, like, we would go out and he would make me do, okay, you have to talk to these people and just find things that you can relate to, whether it's on the outside of their house, something that you like, or something that they say. You can go and bring the conversation and stretch it out. So the doors were the big thing for me at first, and then running scripts. We spent hours upon hours upon hours running scripts, tweaking them, making them so I was comfortable speaking with some of them, because some of them are a little bit too mature, especially for someone my age to be saying to someone. So we've tweaked them, and he's helped me get more comfortable and have things off the top of my head, which before I just really wasn't good at.
Well,
Okay.
Jane, remember when one of our first front doors, there was a placard next to the doorbell. What did it read, and what was the response, and what was your response to what I said?
The first one, of course, was a no soliciting. Now I just assumed, okay, you go and you move on to the next one. You don't go to them. They obviously made it clear to you that they don't want anyone coming to their door. Lo and behold, they ended up being one of the friendliest people that we talked to that day. We started talking to the husband, and then he brought his wife over. We were having conversations about the neighborhood, where they'd moved from before. It was a complete shock. And I was like, well, maybe this is just a one-off. One of the other houses we went to was also no soliciting, and the same thing happened. She came out, was pointing at her neighbor's houses. Oh, these people are moving. These people are renting. It was completely not what I expected it to be.
Very, very cool. So how did that just explode your view of what prospecting can be?
Yeah, absolutely. It completely changed everything. I still didn't quite feel comfortable with the no solicitors until maybe my 8th and 9th time out. You definitely got to build it slow and not push yourself to too much of a limit at first, because you will get people that are ruder than others, but you just got to figure out how to take that rejection and just not take it personally and just move on to the next one.
Yeah. And can you give me an example of kind of the scripting that you first started working with and what you noticed about the phrasing that maybe didn't suit your age and your personality, and how you tweaked that to get, scripts that you were really comfortable delivering?
Well, one of the things, obviously, I don't have kids, I don't have a family, so talking about schools and things like that in the area is a little bit unrelatable to people when they hear it from me. I can talk more about the areas in terms of dining or activities or fun places to go, but the more school family talk is a little bit harder for people to relate to me, so we've tweaked it and made a focus more on, the community and the things that are around in central towns that I can talk about, that I've been to, that I'm a part of, and stuff like that. So it's definitely more age appropriate, and people aren't looking at me like I'm just completely BSing everything that I'm saying.
When we originally started, Matt, there is a technique that's called Ford, and it's a speaking technique. I'm sure you're familiar with it. I got Jane familiar with it, and it stands for family, occupation, recreation, and dreams. It's an opportunity for you to extract information out of people that has to do with them and their lives, which immediately puts those people, because you're an unknown human being that's shown up on their front porch unannounced, most likely unwanted most of the time, and it gives them an opportunity to be comfortable when you say, do you have kids, or how do you choose your occupation? Would you do it again? What's your best client? Wow, you work a lot. Where do you spend your off time? And where do you want to be in 10 years in the dreams? But when Jane started doing it, I'll let her explain the difference, but when she started extracting and getting involved in the people's lives, it had a dramatic difference when it came to the people's mindset at the front door. So Jane, you take it from here. I mean, she is a prolific door knocker at this point in her career, guys. I think she's done like 1,500 doors in the last month and a half. I mean, the girl is just always door knocking now. So Jane, you take it away and tell us about Ford and how it's helped you.
Basically, once I found stuff that I can identify with in terms of whether I'm into cars, I have a family that we're really big into cars. So if they have a nice car in the driveway, I'm going to start talking to them about the car. And just things that aren't necessarily real estate based, that at the end make them feel comfortable and that they can talk to you about anything that they like. They built a trust level with them. And when I come to their door, I'm not exactly the most threatening person in the world. So they either think I'm selling something, or they're just kind of like, oh, this is adorable. She's just coming around the door. But if you identify with people and actually find something that brings you more to a level playing field, it really, really opens up the line of conversation. I've had conversations with people about cars, interior decorating. I love to do it-yourself projects. And there's some things where I've gone and talked for half an hour, 45 minutes with some people and things that they can do at their home.
Jane, real quick question for you. So it's making them more comfortable, but you being a natural introvert and you coming out of your shell in the time that we've worked together, how has that script helped you grow as an agent and as a young woman, given the fact that you were quite fearful in the beginning?
It's more comfort level with what I'm talking about and how I can see their reaction. If I see their reaction is they're just happy to talk, not feeling like they're being pressured or anything like that. It makes me feel good about myself and more confident to say, I'm going to carry on a conversation with you. You might not want to talk for very long, but I can still get enough of a trust level built with you. And in turn, that is ending up making me more comfortable in terms of talking to random people. Now I find myself challenging myself. I'll go get my nails done. I'll go to the grocery store and just start talking to random people. Before, I was the person that was like, "Hi, here's my credit card. Bye." Like, wouldn't want to talk to anybody. Like, that's how bad I was. But now it's become more of a game challenge because I've seen what doors it can't open. And I need the money, so I'm going to go out there and do as much as I can to get people to talk to me.
Well, Jane, can you tell us a little bit about kind of the difference that that's made and maybe where you're at right now? What kind of results you're having because you're door knocking, like 1,500 homes in the last month? Like, what's that producing in terms of leads and appointments and that sort of thing?
I definitely have way more leads, way more appointments that I'm going on. I'm working with a multitude of buyers compared to before. I mean, like I said, I had one person, that was pretty much, I got lucky. But now I'm seeing results. For every day that I'm going out, I'm getting one, maybe if I'm lucky, 2 leads. But it's consistent and it's business and it's keeping the momentum of it going is helping me feel more and more comfortable of wanting to go out and do more. So if I do 3 hours one day and get nothing, but the next day I go out and get 2, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back out and try and triple what I've done or see how many people I can get to open their door. It's definitely a hit and miss game, but it's a numbers game. So the more you're doing it, the more likely you're going to have a higher turnover rate in terms of leads.
But
Cool.
here's the other thing we should point out, Matt. Now, Jane is a younger woman. She has a younger voice. And so, traditionally, a lot of the hardcore outbound prospecting is door knocking, cold calling, mailing, all of this. And for me, I love to do cold calling. I did a little over 69,000 cold calls in 2 years using Mojo Selling Solution. So I was very comfortable. So I tried to force feed this to Jane. And this is what I do with a lot of my clients. I will ask them how they want to prospect. I'll ask them to try some of the harder ways just to see if it might suit them. Like door knocking worked for Jane unexpectedly. I did not see that one coming. So I tried to get her to do cold calling, and she was very uncomfortable with it because people would basically talk down to her as if she was like a 12-year-old. Right, and so they couldn't see her. Because 55% of all communication is done through visually. Your body style, how you hold it, just kind of your clothing, everything there. And so Jane said, "Look, Greg, I don't want to do this. I want to do cold call. I want to do door knocks." I said, "Okay, let's go find you an area that works best for you." And so we have decided to make Jane the condo queen. And she is out working the demographics of the 26-year-olds, that are looking to buy their first home, and she's working her sphere much stronger, And Jane, that has made from what I've understood from our conversations, that has made a significant difference. But it's just not that. There are other veins of business that you're starting to get into, like video. You're doing more video. You're doing public speaking. Jane did a public speaking event the other day, and well, how'd it go? You told me something. You got a high off of it. I remember.
Yeah. So it was like a complete adrenaline rush because I was a person, even in college and high school, you put me in a speech class where I have to give a speech, I'm up there the whole time shaking, the paper's shaking, if I'm holding anything, like I was a hot mess. So this has definitely made me way more comfortable in not only my business aspect, but just in my own skin as well, which helps, it's a full circle, it goes back into your business as well. But yeah, I did public speaking, and it gave me an adrenaline rush. And now I'm like, okay, I'll talk to as many people about anything as you want. Just put me in front of people, and I'm good.
Now, Greg, what are some of the we've talked a little bit about this kind of like off the event, before the event, about the different levels of prospecting. You touched on a little bit, but I want you to go deeper on that. So tell me a little bit about when you're taking clients through that progression. What are those different levels of prospecting that you look at and evaluate against their personality type and their preferences to kind of find where that matches?
Sure. Most of the people on this Google Hangout are familiar with the DISC, the 4 different personality types. Now, all of us are aware that we have high. 2 of them are higher, and 2 of them are lower, just running in our system at all times. So I'm a high D and a high I. I want things done yesterday, and I want to go out there and have a great time doing it. So cold calls, door knocks, events, parties, and networking, that is where I live. But someone like Jane, if we were to start with her, we'll use you as a test case. I would have worked on, probably some like Google AdWords, some Facebook ads, some editorial print ad offerings, free reports. Start doing some Google Hangouts with you with friends and family, so that you could have that little bit of a barrier of I don't know, I guess safety between you and the prospect. It's very soft, right? There's no threat in it, and there are multiple different levels of prospecting. So if you are an S or a C, very steady and very calm, and you want things to be done just right, we would look at maybe probably do some mailers. We would not have you on the cold calls to begin, because I would want you to see success, because every agent knows that you have potential, right? But it depends on the action, how much action you put into it. So if you have got lots of potential, but you don't no action, you're not going to get any results. If you get no results, it reinforces your initial beliefs that you have no potential. But I know everyone does. So it's all about getting you in motion. And that's one of the critical things that I do with all my coaching clients. I help them get into motion. There's a woman that I worked with down in Livermore. I think she will be coming on to one of our Google Hangouts as well. She was in dire straits, absolutely dire straits. 60 days and it was done. No money, game over. So she said, Greg, what do I do? I sat down with her. It took me 25 minutes. She and I laid out an exact game plan for her. Within 60 days, she had 11. She now has 25 active clients. I think eight sellers, 8 sellers, 11 buyers, and some investors mixed in there as well. So it came from being able to, and she has my personality, so she went and hit the doors every day. We came up with a tagline for her. She's doing cold calls, she's doing follow-up, she's networking with different lenders, and she is having fun. This year is going to be a record-breaking year for her. And that's what I love to do. It's that moment when you see people and you see the aha, like, oh my God, I get it. Like, this is what it's supposed to be. And so that is going back to what you said, Matt. There are the cold and colder lead generation systems, and there's the warm and warmer outbounds, and you have the hot to warm, and every person is going to be different. So if I met you, Matt, and I did not know you, you would be a colder. So I probably will have found you door knocking, cold calling, mailing, doing videos, doing blogs, doing drip email campaigns, doing editorial blasts, doing all kinds of stuff. But once I had the right tagline, the right content that got you in, then I can build that relationship. Then I can move down to different things. Maybe I'll do a pop by on you. A pop by, for any of you who don't know, is just literally I would go pop by or drop by Matt's house because I knew where he lived. I met him door knocking, right? And just say, and I bring an item of value to him. So I'm always trying to bring value. I'm always trying to give. I'm always trying to make whatever they have expressed interest in, I will express interest back. Therefore, that trust is built, and they will like and want to do business with me. Some of those. I mean, did that kind of answer it? Because we can keep going. I just want to make sure
yeah.
I'm way off topic here for you.
No, that's perfect. Jane, do you want to jump in there and tell me if there was any really big aha moments you had from going through that process of finding what worked, maybe attacking the condo market and figuring out, hey, this is my market, these are my people, they're the same, life stage as I am, and now I've kind of found my niche.
Yeah, at the beginning I was a little ambitious. I wanted to do high-end. I was like, I can do this. Like, it doesn't matter how young I look or anything like that. But of course, when I was getting people come to the door, they're like, so are you still in high school? Or did you just graduate? And I'm not at the same level. Like, some of the parents that I knock doors on happen to be parents of people I went to school with, and they're just not, they don't treat me with the respect of being a professional real estate agent. So I kind of just realized once things weren't working, I was wasting my time, that, I need to be on a level with people who I can communicate with and are on the same kind of path in life right now, like people who are graduated college looking to get their first place and just start small and then build with them my business. I mean, with the doors, I still didn't want to at the beginning, even after I got out with Greg, do the knocking. So I started slow. I would go and deliver the stuff, and then I would, after a week or two, okay, so every 5th door I'd knock. And slowly, until I got comfortable with going out, getting myself in the routine and talking to people, I went from every 5th door to every other door, and now every door. If a door doesn't get knocked, it just doesn't happen. Like, I don't do that anymore. So
Well, the
it's
funny,
just comfort.
with that being said, Miss Jane, what you're not hearing, all of you guys out there, she would fight me tooth and nail. It was an uphill battle on a rainy day, wearing no boots in a rainstorm, trying to get her to go out and door knocking. I finally, and this is what I do with my clients. I'm your biggest supporter, but I will kick you in the rear end just as fast because I want to see you succeed. I have to see you succeed, and I know what it will do when you have that moment and you do get that first buyer, that first seller, or whatever else. And I've been kicking and prodding Jane to get out there. She called me the other day. She's like, Greg. Oh my God, I just got a call back on one of my door knocking, and she wants to go buy something. She's paying all this money in rent, and she wants to go buy over here, and it's a guaranteed thing. And it just hearing those every once in a while is just satisfaction to its nth degree. And Jane, has the kicking been effective, and has it been in a loving manner? Because I don't think kicking is a very good thing to say most of the time.
It's been loving when it needs to be, but it's also been tough when it needs to be. I'm a person, I can find a million and one things that I need to do. I'm a planner. I like to write lists. I have like 18,000 lists about probably the same thing, but I can always find something else to do instead of what I should be doing. It's just always been that way. So for me, I didn't really believe in the coaching at first. I was like, why? I can just get myself to do it. Like, I don't want to pay money for this stuff. And then it wasn't until maybe about 3 or 4 weeks in when we had like a moment where he was just like, "It's enough. You need to go out and do something. Get off the computer. I'm gonna throw the lists away. Like, go and do work." That it really hit me like, oh, this is what a coach is for. I'm not supposed to kind of twiddle my thumbs and be on Facebook all day. So it definitely gave me the kind of kick in the butt in the right direction, and I've pretty much not looked back since.
Very cool. So we just in the few minutes that you have left, Jane, I know you're kind of running short on time. So what's the plan from here on out for you, and how are you going to keep growing and working more of your natural personality into your business so you keep on growing? And how's that? Like, what's your plan for that?
Basically, I'm gonna increase the amount of doors I'm doing. My goal is to be up to about 20 to 25 hours a week on the doors. So that means during the day I can, do appointments, do follow-ups, do some pop-bys like Greg talked about earlier. But I want to increase everything so it's just I am talking to people 95% of my day. Like, I just want to be in front of them, talking to them. I already know the phones don't work for me, so now that I've found kind of like what works, I'm just going to take it and run with it and not look back and just keep going.
Very cool. Well, and Greg, what are you working with Jane on right now? What's your goals for her?
What we're doing this year is that we have rolled out I made a strategic partnership with a lead generation company, and we will be providing a couple of leads every month to every coaching client of mine at no cost. It's a 25% referral fee at the end, so if you don't close it, you don't pay it. And so I'm starting to give those to Jane. I gave her one yesterday. I gave her 2 weeks ago, and then the holidays and everything. So what I'm working with her and my other clients is live fire training. So when there's something that arises, if there's an issue, if there's whatever the problem is, we're working the deals together. Right now, it's just maintaining the clientele and helping her and showing her where to find homes that are not on the market that are willing to sell. And I'm not talking FSBOs, I'm not talking foreclosures. There is a whole network of homes that would sell right now, but they just no one knows about them. So I'm opening her eyes to some of that stuff and some apps and some different technology that is very useful for her. And so, that's kind of what we're working on now. But we're still refining her prospecting methods, and we're going to be adding in at least 2 to 3 more that, on a very shoestring budget, it can be very, very effective. So that's kind of where we are with her. And she's actually walking out the door. She's going to show a house right now to one of the people I gave her. So that's why she has to leave. But I'm glad. Hey, it's a good reason, right?
Yeah, it is. And Jane, are you okay coming back maybe later in the year and sharing the progress that you made since
Absolutely.
This time today? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Very cool. All right, well, we will let you go, and me and Greg are going to continue on and talk about some of the experience he's had coaching people on prospecting. So, Jane, thank you so much for joining us. And if anybody has somebody in the East Bay kind of area that's looking to get into a condo, obviously, what's the best way to reach out to you, Jane?
Definitely by email. Well, I'll be really fast at responding to that. So jwendham@rockcliffe.com.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. All
Thanks,
right.
Jane. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
All right.
All right.
Well, cool. Well, let's get into some of the things that we weren't able to necessarily get into while Jane was with us. So I know we wanted to cover kind of how you help clients and just anyone, how they can push themselves to overcome the fear of no. And to me, that's the biggest part, when you talk about prospecting and getting into any sales industry. Any type of call reluctance or reluctance to knock on a door basically comes down to that fear of rejection, that fear of being uncomfortable with somebody that doesn't really want to talk to you because you feel that rejection. So how do you work with people to kind of get over that?
Twofold. One of which, and I don't know how many of you people know this, but 48% of all salespeople will never follow up with a lead one time. Because they're afraid of the word, that super, super tiny word, no. I also show them their value of their time. We've developed a spreadsheet I use with all of my clients. All of their prospecting time, I have them log what they're doing, how long they did it, how many people attempted, how many either home or they got on the phone or whatever the method is, how many weren't, and how many appointments were set. And then the way it's calculated at the bottom, I will show you, Matt, if you're a client of mine, Matt, if you do this activity, I know from my market right here, every 250th contact reach out when doing doors or calls or whatever is going to be a deal for me. And I know that I can do 25 doors an hour. So I can do, if I go out 4 days a week, that is what, 100? So I know every week I'm going to get at least one active client. And then I go and I get the value of the homes that I'm prospecting into, and I'm understanding what an hour is worth, what a minute is worth, what every door is worth, what every person I talk to is worth. And then I put in how many days I'm prospecting, how many hours I'm prospecting, and I show them that if you add one more hour a day or one more day a week of doing the same time frame, look at the dramatic increase in your income. And when people actually see those numbers dead in front of them, and they say, okay, if I do 4 days a week, 1 hour a day prospecting, okay, I could make, let's just call it 500,000 for easy numbers, right? Now, what if I went 4 days a week, 2 hours? Oh my God, I can make $1.2 million. Are you kidding me? And this comes down to your conversion rate and comes down to a lot of other things, but we're only factoring a 5% conversion rate here, okay? So we take it down to the lowest of the low. And then that motivates people. And once you're motivated, you can't stop someone that's motivated. Like Jane, when she first found out what her dollar productive time was worth, she's like, "Oh my God, I'm like an attorney fees. I'm awesome." And so I showed her that, and I know for me when I do my calls, when I just do cold calls, my value on the phone is $1,250 an hour. Okay, I can make cold calls and play on Facebook. I can show you do the exact same thing doing it this way. What you have to learn how to mine your database. That's where people get a lot of their value first off. So if you're a new agent, we're going to show you how to send an announcement letter out to speak to everyone, let them know that what's out there, to let people know that you're actually in the business. Then we teach you how to do the follow-up, and that's where Vyral really comes in. Your company, Matt, I am more than impressed with you guys. You guys have radically transform the way that we mine our database, and it's so stinking effective. And that's where a lot of agents don't do. They do the orphan program. I go help Matt and his beautiful wife buy a brand new house, and then completely forget about them. And I will think, well, and you know what? Matt remembered me. We were buddies. We went and got beers one time. But no, it's not the case. They will forget about you. They will talk to someone else. You have to keep talking to your database. So it's talking to your database, letting everybody know that you're a real estate agent, showing them the value of their time, and then going and actually working the problems through with them on a daily basis. I get calls from all over the country because I've done some door knocking videos all over the country. And they're like, Greg, hey, can you send me blank? Or Greg, can I answer this question for you? I said, absolutely, but first help me understand why you're doing this. What's your mindset? Why are you in this business? And a lot of people don't have that clearly written down. They don't have their goals written down. Do you know that only 3 to 5% of any person, well, in the world will write their goals down, but the 3 to 5% that do have a 95% chance of reaching those goals in that time frame? That is where we start, and that is what I help my clients with.
Yeah, and that's the first part of that was really interesting because I think if people understand they understand the ratios, it's not enough to say, oh, hey, it's a numbers game. You just got to keep plugging away. It's not like that. It doesn't resonate with people
No.
when compared to actually helping them see what the real numbers are and understanding the ratios. Whether it's 25 to 1 or whatever it is. It was interesting. I was on a hangout the other day with another guy. It's about 3 weeks ago, and he was a big door knocker, still does, out here in Southern California. And he was talking about how he was doing the same thing. He was orphaning his database after he would door knock, and the only contact he had with these people was maybe 6 months later, 12 months later, they would come around on his door knocking circuit again. And who knows if you're even talking to the same person. You can go to the same house, and the last time you talk to one spouse, and the next time you talk to somebody completely different, they don't have any reason to remember you. So even that isn't that effective. So he realized, he went back through his database, and he realized that it was taking him 87 people in his database to get one deal. So when he progressively started to go after his database, whether it was through like phone calls, I think he started sending them some mailers, and he did some video marketing too. He got that down to 13 to 1.
Wow.
I mean, he cut that ratio to the bone. It only takes him 13 people, and every 13 people in his database give him one deal a year, all because he just started following up with this database. And the cool thing was he knew those numbers, and those numbers motivated him to keep on working his database and get the numbers even lower. So it's very important to actually quantify stuff, and it seems like that's part of what you help clients do, and that quantifying process is very, very powerful.
Oh, it is absolutely imperative. If you can't quantify, you can't monetize. You can't monetize, go get a 9 to 5. You'll be much happier. Your wife or husband will not be pestering you for bringing in part of the money. But real funny. Right before this hangout, I was out door knocking. I went out and I was hit a street called Laurinita. And on this street, I thought one of my past clients lived on this street. I knew her husband had recently passed about a year and a half ago. Knew she'd gotten remarried, and that's all I knew. And so I'm walking. This is my second house, by the way, and I was going to be out there for an hour and a half. Had about 50 flyers. I was going to go meet some people. I got to her house, and she came running out that door because her new husband, who didn't know me, and I didn't know him, and the house had been completely remodeled. I mean, it was unrecognizable. I started talking. She came running out. She gave me a big hug. She said, "Come on in. Let's look at the house." And so we went in and we looked at the house and we sat and talked. And I'm like, okay, how long am I going to be here? I got to go talk to other folks. Then the new husband goes, "Well, let's talk shop." And I'm like, okay. And he's like, well, if I do this and if we do that, and if we do put the money here and we do that there, what do you think the value is? And I said, I can't tell you that. It's going to be about a year down the road. There's no way I can tell you. Long story short, because I was going back and I was going through my database and I was doing door knocking strategically, like I teach my folks to do, I left the house an hour and a half later. I have picked up the listing, and I secured her as a reoccurring investment buyer to do flip jobs. And she's a prolific cook, and she was yelling at me on the way out, "Greg, don't you forget, I owe you cooking classes." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm Marianne, I will not forget that. Trust me." And that's the power, man. When you do the Popeyes, when you do the follows, and you do the door knocks, you make that relationship bond with folks that people will never forget. I have traveled the world with friends that we met door knocking, and it's purely because I went knock, knock, knock. Hi, this is who I am, where I'm from, and what I'm doing on your front porch. So that is just a snippet of what we work on, but it's not a one size fits all. I try to do that in the past here at my brokerage when I launched just kind of by the cuff, little coaching side gig for them here, and I tried to force feed them, certain things, and I had, I think I had like 40 or 50 people sign up for it, but it didn't work for them. So I started tweaking it immediately for their personality types, for their income levels, for the hours that they want to work, and it flourished. And it's because I take that time with people and really build it for them.
Yeah. Do you want to go into some examples of that? Because that's probably the part that I'm most curious about,
Yeah,
because, and it's kind of why we titled it this way, because I think people from the outside of real estate and people that get into it do have the assumption, they look at people with, whether they know it or not, but it's the high D, high I personality that we both have. They look at that personality type or that combination and they go, well, of course they're successful. That's, that's just the way that they are. And if you don't have that personality type, well, ooh, you're kind of SOL. But it's not the case. Like, there's other things that you can do, and you touched on it a little bit. But I think people struggle probably if they don't have, until they get that awareness that these are personality types, and you can structure your business around
very much
your
so.
personality type, whatever it is. There is no such thing as the personality type that succeeds in real estate, and then everybody else has to be a miserable failure.
100%. I have two really good case studies on this. I'm not going to use any names, for anything else. But I had a woman, an elderly woman. She was from England, and when I came in, and I was like, okay, so this is what your regimen needs to be. This is what you need to do here, 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 and here, and here. And these are the results you're going to get. I know because I rule. And she looked at me flat out and goes, I am not cold calling. I am not door knocking. I am not doing this. And I'm like, well, how the heck is this going to work? This is one of my first aha moments. So we met every week, like we had set up, and I started asking her questions. I did the Ford. I got involved in her life on our second meeting because the first meeting was a disaster, and I was just so green at it. But I got to know that she was an amazing gardener. She was a part of, I think, 10 or 15 different gardening groups. She spent more time in gardening groups than in the office. So I'm like, okay, tell me about these groups. And so she told me more and more about them, and then we started talking, well, what do you like to do as hobbies? She's like, well, my husband and I love to play bocce. I'm like, really? What else do you guys like to do? She's like, well, we like to have tea parties, we like to, drink beer, and we like to barbecue. And I'm like, there's something here. So what we did is we created the 3 Bs: beers, burgers, and bocce. And so she went out and she started networking and throwing events at her house to do beer, burgers, and bocce. Now, when I first came up with her, she thought I had lost my mind. I said, no, no, no. You are going to start inviting your girlfriends and their husbands over to play beer, burgers, and bocce. Well, she started doing it. These became epically successful to the point where she came back. She's like, I'm having to do these things like 3 or 4 times a month because I have so many people that are wanting to do it. I said, well, good. How's the leads out of it? She said, they're great. People are just talking to me and they're having some beers and we're relaxing. And she was starting to get deals. But she's like, Greg, I have to do more than just that. What else can I do? I said, tell me again about this whole tea thing, women tea ideas. And so she started telling me more about it. And I said, okay, I want you to go to a different sect of friends, and I want you to start inviting them over for tea and make it an event. Dress up, all the proper everything, find china. She's like, okay, I have all of that. I can teach all the Americans how to really drink tea. I said, I think they'd love it. So she went out and she did it. She got 3 deals. Okay, and
That's awesome.
it was unbelievable. But so we go back to beer, the 3 Bs, right? Beer, bocce, and burgers. She said, I one of my gardening things, I have to give something for an auction, but I have nothing to give. I said, yes, you do. Offer the event, auction it off. She said, nobody would pay for that. I said, do it. And she's like, okay. So she went out and she did it. Do you know what? Someone paid, I think it was $750 to come over to her house, play bocce, look at her garden, drink beer, and eat a burger. She she has not stopped talking to me about that because she's like, every time she sees me, Greg, you want the beers, burgers, and bocce's still working. I'm like, that's good. I told you it would work. And so she wouldn't do Popeyes either, and she wouldn't do door knocking. I said, okay, will you do Popeyes? She's like, what do you mean Popeyes? So I explained it to you. Go to your past client or current client or prospect or friend's house and pop by with something of value. She's like, what can I bring? I said, well, you're into gardening. What, tell me something there. So she thought for a second. She came back to me the next week with this tiny, it's probably about this big of a plant. It was a succulent that apparently never needed to be watered. So I'm like, it's a perfect bachelor gift. Are you kidding me? I successfully killed mine because I didn't water it. But
I knew
it. But she started popping by with these things, like $2.50, right? Nothing. She said that she couldn't get away from her friends and her clients because they were so happy to see her that they dragged her in. It would be an hour and a half conversation. And I said, you have to do 5 of these a week, 1 a day. That's all you have to do. She had a backlog last time I spoke with her. She had some health issues, and she stepped out of coaching to take care of herself and her husband for a little while. But her leads were piling up at the last time I spoke to her. And people would wait to see her come by, and they would call her like, "So, are you in the neighborhood? Want to pop by?"
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, so she really blossomed, and she was an incredible introvert. But what I did is I gave her the ability to express who she is out to the prospects, because the people she's going to work with are probably not going to be the people I would work with, who have different personalities, different age brackets, different likes and dislikes in life. So we have her as an example. I have another woman I'm currently coaching. I absolutely love this woman. She is stinking hilarious, but she's German, right? So she got a German accent, and I'm looking at her business plan. I'm looking at her marketing plan. I'm like, no, 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 no. This is not working. None of this is working. We're throwing it all away. So we reworked her buyer's book. We reworked her seller's book. We've tweaked the verbiage, the fonts, the placements in the book. But she's so funny. She looks at me one day and she goes, Greg, I don't like people. And I'm like, what are you doing in this business if you don't like people? She's like, they annoy me. And so I said, okay, so we got to work on this a little bit. So for her, door knocking's not happening. Okay, my callings, she likes the calling, but what I did is I was able to introduce her to an ISA, internal sales agent, was just taking off all of that load off of her back. She is partnered with the lender. They're splitting the cost. They have a full-time 40-hour-a-week ISA calling. I have an ISA, and this woman, my biggest problem is giving her enough leads because she is so proficient. She cuts anyone who's halfway warm, she's closing them, and that's what we're starting to see on her, with my other client. And so she's like, wow, Greg, this is amazing. So I've introduced her to the tech and different ways to work her business and a different persona that she's putting out there. And so we're working different market areas too. We also got to make sure that we don't put you in a really high-end area that there's nothing selling. We need to put you in an area that might be a little bit lower, but it's selling like hotcakes. Because, as you guys all know, it's called a turnover rate. It's the total number of homes that are in the area divided by the total number of homes that have sold in the last 12 months. So we look at that, we look at a few other factors, and then we decide on the territory, and then we decide on the territory what type of prospecting method based upon the demographics. So as you can tell, it's not like you just take a map and you throw a dart at it and be like, oh, I'm going to work that neighborhood. It's not like that. And that's what a lot of people don't do. They don't look at this as a business. They look at it as, well, I lived in this neighborhood for 25 years. I'll work this neighborhood. Everyone knows me. But if nothing's selling, you're not going to make any money. Don't make any money. You're not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy. You're going to fall out of the business. 87.5% of all real estate agents fail, and that is my goal. That is my dream, to stop that number decline and show more people success, give them the lives that they want, and don't listen to the people that say they can't make it. That drives me absolutely bonkers. Because every person has the ability to make it in this business. They just need to be shown the way how.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the cool thing about the process that you take people through, is that you legitimately can. I mean, you don't have to be a certain personality type. I mean, if someone that doesn't even like people can succeed in real estate, we're just awesome. I can just picture that. Yeah.
With her German accent, man, she's like, don't even like people. And I'm like, okay, I'm scared of you now.
Yeah, but it's I mean, it just goes to show you that, if you approach real estate as a business, there's enough options, and if you approach it strategically, you can come up with like this systematic plan that really does it suits your personality, the hours that you want to put in, the area that you need to go after, and all that. Like, you can actually factor that in and come up with a plan that will work for completely different types of people. And they can develop their own kind of niche, and they can be successful in that niche. And you don't have to, and this is a really big thing you see, is just you don't have to appeal to everyone. Both of the stories that you just told, they're both appealing to very, like, wildly different types of prospects, and they're sending completely different messages, and the messaging and the positioning of how you're kind of positioning them in the market of other real estate agents is completely different from everyone else and completely different from one another. Just with two clients that you're kind of taking through the same like fact finding or discovery process. So that really jumps out because it's something that, I mean, anybody can go through that process, and you can find that niche in the market where you can dominate that niche, and that's all it takes. You can have a great living just dominating your niche.
Just by dominating it. There's another lady that I coached. She was working in a country club area. She's younger. She has younger kids. And she was trying the online thing. She was trying working, with mailers, all of the traditional stuff. But she wasn't doing door knocking. And she's a little ball of energy. I mean, this woman is like like a little tornado of goodness, just swirling around when you're around her. And I said, well, let's think about door knocking for you. She's like, door knocking? What, do you think it would work? I'm like, it worked for us. Let's give it a run. So I set her up with scripts. We did scripting. We did running those scripts. We worked on posture, how to stay safe on the doors. When to go, what to bring. Basically, door knocking in a box, right? And then I let her loose. She went out there. She started door knocking. Within a week, she had already picked up her first listing appointment. And I'm like, well, that's amazing. How did you get this? She's like, well, I knew them through my kids' school as well, and they were so excited to see me at the front door. They asked me to come in and told me they're going to be making a move. I said, tell me more about your kids' connections. And then we launched a massive campaign onto her sphere of influence. This woman, in 1 year, had taken away about 40% of the market share in a specific community here in the area from a dominant team of agents, husband and wife agent group that had really run the certain area, and she just took it over just by she's out there walking, knocking, and talking. She was working her sphere of influence and being introduced by friends. She was setting up incentives for folks to do it, to refer her. And we call it the Client for Life program, and you'll learn more about that as we work together. But I mean, that's a total different side as well. I mean, a little ball of energy, they just went, right? And incredibly successful. But she doesn't do the rest of this stuff, because this is so successful for her.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, it's another great example of going through that process and looking at it in terms of there is an answer. There is a way that this can be done. You just have to find it. And it's fortunate. I mean, you have a pretty wide range of experience between yourself being in the business for so long, coming from a real estate family, your dad being in the business for over 40 years. Like, you have this. We were talking about it the other day. Just the back experience of having come from that background and kind of knowing who the coaches and the education that's old school. Then you've got the new school stuff with all the self-education that you do on the social media and all the new tech tools. So you're able to kind of draw from a really wide pool of all these different resources and approaches and tactics and really zero in and find something that works for individual people, which is really cool.
I do my best, man. It's one of those things that. Quick little story about me. When I first got in the business, I was a massive screw up in every part of my life. I mean, I'm not kidding. I mean, you looked in the dictionary of pain in the butt, my photo was firmly planted there. And so I went through the first couple of years in real estate making more money than I could ever imagine. I mean, at 23, I bought over $1 million home. I mean, are you kidding me? Eventually lost it because of my bad decisions, but I lost everything in my life. I lost both of my homes. I lost both of my cars. I lost the woman I wanted to marry. I lost my career, all within about 4 or 5 months. And I was brought to my knees. I had $35 to my name. That was absolutely it. No parachute anywhere else in sight. And I had a choice to make. What am I going to do? I got back up, I put a shirt and tie on the next day, and I never stopped prospecting because that's what my father and our business partner Chris had taught me and instilled into me. And then when I had been able to show that I had some sort of value, I went back to my father and Chris, and at a lunch at my parents' house, I sat there with my hat in my hand, and I begged to be let back on the team. They had no right or reason to allow me back on, but they did. And at that moment, I vowed that I'm going to pay it forward to every human being that will allow me to, and let me help them not go through what I went through, and have a better quality of life. And that is my driving force, 1000%. That's why you and I are sitting here, because I have to pay it forward to people. And the folks that we're going to start working with, thanks to you and these Google Hangouts and other networking events, I want to thank you in advance. I will do everything in my power to bring you 10 times the value versus what you pay me in return. I want to see you succeed. I must see you succeed.
Hmm. Yeah, and I can vouch for that. I mean, I see I've worked with Greg long enough to see the energy and the determination that he brings to everything that he does. So I believe that's 100% true. So one of the coolest things that we can do is so if people are interested in working with you, you have a link that I'm going to put in the Google Plus page where they can actually go and just click on the link and schedule a time to speak with you, which is awesome. So it shortcuts everything out. So we're going to put that up on the Google Plus page if you guys are interested. And Greg, do you have something that you want to give out to people that are scheduling that with you?
Yeah, you know what, you guys, once you guys sign up with me, I'm going to give you guys a free little download. I am a big proponent of reading, and so I'm going to put together some quick little overviews on some of my favorite books that have helped me. I'm going to put together 3 separate books. They're best reads, and they're going to be given to you guys. Sit down, take a read through them. I know that they'll bring value to you. Every time that we have an opportunity, you just ask me for something, and I will absolutely deliver it to you. Even if it's not even one of the books, you're like, "Hey, Greg, do you have blah?" You know, yeah. If I had it, I'm gonna give it to you. And so, yeah, that is my offer. Hopefully, you guys will find it valuable.
Cool. Well, we're about out of time, so we'll just wrap it up with that, and encourage you to go to the link. I'm going to put it on the Google Plus page. Set up a time to talk with Greg and just go through kind of what your situation is, whether you guys are a good fit to work together, how Greg can help, and kind of what the arrangements are, and get you all the information that you need to see if that's a good fit for you right now. Definitely go and do it. It's going to change your life potentially. So if you put the energy in that Greg brings to it, you will experience many times the investment. So yeah, everybody go and do that. Greg, thanks so much. This was a blast. I knew it was going to be hopefully the first of many, and we're looking forward to talking to another one of your clients, because I know we have a similar type of turnaround story kind of on deck for our next one. So I'm excited for the next event.
We do. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your time. I know it's valuable. Hopefully, I brought value. Matt, always a blast to talk to you, my friend. And we'll see you guys. What are we? February 19 is our next one, right?
Let's see. Before we spout off, we should probably check that for sure.
Yes, we should. I actually have it circled in red on my calendar.
Yep, Thursday, February 19th. You got it.
And the same time, 3 o'clock?
You got it.
Great. All right. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
All right. Take care, guys.